And it's amazing. He even taught me a couple things, but we're
Wow.
doing DP stuff here.
Horizontal with Lila. Horizontal with Lila. Hello, my horizontal lovers, my intimacy investigators, my horizontalists. Horizontal is the podcast about intimacy of all kinds, recorded while lying down, and usually wearing robes. With very few exceptions, our conversations are languorous, meandering, and long form, as though post-coital, or stargazing, or staring out onto the open road in the wee hours of a very long road trip. It's a private conversation made public. It's consensual eavesdropping. Typically on horizontal, each conversation is between 3 and 5 hours long and divided up into 2 to 4 parts. The former half is available to all horizontalists everywhere, and the latter half is available exclusively to patrons of the horizontal arts. This is season 4, my season of experiments. During this season, I'm investigating form and format, length and structure, context and content, playing aurally, trying things I haven't tried yet. Thus far, season 4 has seen a mashup with Devin Person's This Podcast is a Ritual, episodes with, more or less, intrusive narration, you decide, and a session with a matchmaker in which I got interviewed as his client. King of Cuckolding, this episode, is from my very first recording spotlighting a single sexy topic. In episodes 126 and 127, I lie down with Dallas King, LA native, global hedonist, director, filmmaker, hot professor, model, and profoundly experienced bull. He is writing the book on cuckolding. Literally, that's what he's in Bali to do. It's called Gasm. For images featuring such highlights as Dallas's rippling abs, brooding fashion sense, and graphic tattoos, witness his Instagram at DallasKing1. In this first half of our recording, we talk about Craigslist personals, what cuckolding means, the lifestyle versus sex-positive culture, working as a massage therapist in LA and becoming a bull, his first time pleasing another man's wife and being watched while doing it, grappling with professional, mental, and religious inhibitions, homophobia and sexual performance, how being a bull can affect your romantic relationships, humiliation and emasculation, agreeing on where to come, navigating couple dynamics, dealing with your own expectations, cuck queens, and my desire to become a female bull. For access to the spicy second half of this conversation, as well as 50 other exclusive episodes, navigate yourself directly to patreon.com/horizontal with Lila. That's spelled patreon.com/horizontal with Lila. And make sure you click the link or type that in exactly, because as a creator who is considered adult on Patreon, my profile isn't searchable. Other than that, Patreon is great. It's like the love child of crowdfunding and a subscription service. You can become a patron for $7 a month on up, and the rewards get more and more sumptuous. For instance, at the $100 level, you'll get a 30-minute one-on-one intimacy guidance session with me every single month, and we can address what ails you or what fascinates you in the realm of sex, love, and relationships of any kind. Now, come lie down with us in Seminyak, Bali, Indonesia.
Terribly, I'm an open book. So self-incriminating. I did not plead the fifth. It's too late for me.
I mean, I'm the same, so is your person after my own heart.
Somebody was like, are you going to be a senator still? Because I wanted to be a senator when I was younger, a politician, a senator of California. And I was like, no, the sex tape already came out. It's too late for that.
Well, I would love it if we got to the place where that didn't fucking matter, right? Where it didn't have to come out as a scandal later because you
Yeah.
would just know, and it's not a
Yeah.
big deal. Like somebody's sex life does not determine how they can
Right.
do this job. Come on.
Someone later would be like, wasn't that you on Craigslist? I'd be like, fuck yeah, it
Yes,
was.
indeed it was.
Weren't you on there too?
It was a great time. I'm sure we
Right?
met in some
I'm sure
back
we
alley
met.
bar.
It was amazing. Fuck. Don't be jealous. Okay.
There's a few things that I want to remember, so I'll just say them now before we get going, really. You know NSFW? I feel like you would like those folks in New York, NSFW, the clubhouse. And then Dixie De La Tour. She has the longest running sex storytelling series in the U.S.
Okay.
She's based out of SF.
Uh-huh.
Anyway, you just reminded me of her because she told a story about Craigslist personals
Oh, gosh.
back in the day.
Oh, yeah. That's still infamous. What are you talking about?
Yeah, but it's not. It's shut down now because of Costa Sesta.
I know. But we upgraded, or it's like we got orphaned little children and we all got put out on different apps. You know?
Yeah.
Yeah. And we're lucky if we find each other again, you know?
Really?
I mean, I can only talk for about Los Angeles, but there was such a community to the point where it was like, oh, I remember I saw your posting, and you know what I mean? Oh, we finally meet, you know? There were some guys I had talked to for years looking to like combine forces for like swinging parties. And then 2-3 years later, we finally meet up and we're like, where did we meet? Oh, fuck, Craigslist ad, man.
Wow.
And it was already been taken down, but we still stayed in contact, you know?
I remember loving Missed Connections. I posted probably twice over the course of maybe 6 years in Missed Connections. And I remember just reading them just for joy,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah. Somebody posted on Misconnections to find me, and somebody said, hey, I think someone described you on Misconnection.
Wow. I was hoping that would happen.
It does. It has happened. Yeah.
Wow.
For sure.
Even in such a big city as LA.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Big little city. Technology, though, really.
Makes a big city smaller.
Yeah. There you go. There you go.
So, how did you even know that cuckolding was a thing?
Was that what we're talking about?
Yeah.
Is that the subject?
Yeah.
Is that like the theme or the title of this episode?
Yeah.
Cuckolding.
Yeah. Demystifying cuckolding.
You know, what was it? Like this weekend, I was telling someone about that, and they thought I said cockhold. They're like, cock.
Cuckolding.
Yeah, they're like, oh, yeah. Like,
I hold my cock.
like, they're like, so how do you, literally, they were almost like, oh, yeah, like holding cocks. Like how, and I was like, no.
Like how many cocks can you hold in one hand?
So I had to like spell it, you know?
Yeah.
But it just goes to show like it's not a very common sector within the lifestyle.
Yeah.
And when we say lifestyle, when I hear that, I mean it's a broad spectrum.
Do you mean sex positivity when you say lifestyle?
You know what's funny is that not until I traveled internationally do I even hear that word as much. Like, and again, you know, I'm always coming from a voice of Los Angeles for most of my life. And although I've traveled 60 countries, I want to feel like I can have kind of an international vibe. But it always blows my mind about, depending upon where you're at, not where you're from, the terminology of things being used more and less is very, very interesting to me. And so, you know, my time here coming to Bali, I had to try to just keep an open mind and an open ear about things that are commonly used and things that are not, and things that I'm used to may not be here. No judgments at all. I just think it's a different vibe and a different feel, you know?
Yeah, I very rarely hear anybody say the lifestyle. Actually, the only people I've heard say that are stringers.
Swingers?
Stringers.
I want to meet a stringer. Yeah.
Wow, what
What's
are
that?
stringers
Yeah.
like?
String me on, huh? Lead me on.
Hey, I think you've met a few of those, though.
Yeah.
All right, no, swingers are swingers specifically.
Yeah. I almost...
And that's what I associated it with. So I thought the lifestyle equals swinging.
It's kind of like, so in America, we say EDM music, electronic dance music, which encompasses all 20 plus genres. Anything electronic synth made, it kind of falls underneath EDM, right?
Yeah.
I come to Bali, everyone's just like, oh, techno. And I'm like, techno. Like techno is actually a specific genre
Oh,
in
of
America.
EDM.
Yeah, of EDM. Like there's techno artists, and I didn't understand that for like a month. And so I guess for me, it helps me understand that the lifestyle, there's a huge spectrum. And we can say from conservative to extremely radical if we're looking at a spectrum, right?
Right.
And in that spectrum of quote unquote a lifestyle or kink lifestyle,
Okay.
I think there's many different playgrounds for people. And obviously, there's so many crossovers, so many hybrid, so many gray area. I mean, there's not going to ever be like, oh, this is the religiously this. And if you don't do this, then you're not
Of
that. I mean,
course.
I don't, yeah, please. So it's just an easier way to define things, I believe. And mind you, when I'm meeting people, this is the first time they've even dipped their toe into the puddle of any lifestyle. So I really have to keep an open mind and try to welcome them in. So I really try to use friendly terms to not scare the fuck out of people coming into it because they're kinky, they're open-minded, they know they want more sexually or sensually or mentally, but they don't know the ins or outs of going about it.
So do you feel like the lifestyle as terminology is less scary to people than sex positive culture?
You know, here's something interesting. I've been using the word sex positive more, and I've said it to people that have no idea what that word means,
Right.
and they've taken it the wrong way. So you almost have to educate people
You
about
do.
what sex
When you
positive
say it,
actually
you
means.
have to define it
I mean,
usually.
right.
Yeah.
I can tell the stories of someone's like, no, I don't have HIV. I'm like, whoa, no.
Yeah, right.
You know, because the positive of that word, they're like, sex positive. No, I don't have a lot of sex.
Right.
No. That's not it either.
Right.
You know, so
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I think of that as part of my job. So I do it a lot. So I use the terminology and then, wait so that
Yeah.
I get the
Yeah.
question so I can answer the question. But I'm getting you as it is an umbrella term. You're
Yeah.
using the lifestyle as an umbrella term,
Yeah.
just as I use intimacy as the umbrella term. And underneath that, I place sex, love, and relationships of all kinds. All kinds of connection I place under the umbrella of intimacy. So when people say I make a sex podcast, I say, well, that is partially true. Yes, and
Yeah.
that and all other kinds of intimacy. And that is also something that's really important to me, is to sort of expand people's notion
Yeah.
of what intimacy is, and also see if I can soften the primacy of the romantic and the sexual relationships. People are putting all their eggs in that basket and then going hungry, basically, when they
understand.
don't have that.
Yeah.
So
circling back to cuckolding,
yeah.
it's been a challenge and a very learning experience going back now, let's say 9 years in the lifestyle of cuckolding and starting from basically a virgin bull, as we would say.
Wow.
Starting from a virgin bull of just being offered, hey, would you like to sleep with my wife? You know, and how alien that felt. So, which for me is everything, because when I meet people who are just getting into cuckolding and quote unquote that specific lifestyle, I go back to my early years of how I misperceived and didn't know, and just my mind wasn't that exposed and that experienced and that open at the time. And my mind is connected to my emotions. I remember the first time I was put in that situation, I couldn't perform because my mind, and I didn't know how to separate my mind and my emotions, and therefore it connected to my other body parts and they didn't work, you know? And it took a while to retrain, rewire, and we resynthesize things for it to work in this type of scenario.
Can you tell me that story? Can you set the scene for me?
Which one?
The first time anybody approached you about cuckolding.
Nobody has ever in an organic way come to me and be like, hey, we're a cuckold couple, let's get it on. No. I mean, online, you meet people, sometimes it's pretty obvious. They put it on neon letters, we're a cuckold couple and we're looking for a bull. That's different. In this situation, I was at the time a massage therapist, working, thriving massage therapist, extremely professional, had a massage at the time, over 5,000 people in my lifetime. Worked at some of the biggest 5-star resorts and spas in Los Angeles, worked in Mexico, cruise ships, My clientele are the A-list of Hollywood and entertainment. And at the time I was number one requested at this very, very posh boutique hotel. I'm like, if you're coming from Europe or from somewhere else, you're staying at this hotel in LA. And so the concierge, we had a good deal. He would get like 100, I would get 300, and he was happy. Everyone was happy. But he'd always call me up, and of course, I get a regular call. And this is interesting. I get a call, and he's like, "We have a client that wants a massage, but they're asking for a four-handed massage. Do you have another guy that can give the massage?" And already right there, I was like, okay. First of all, if you haven't had a four-handed massage in your lifetime, why don't you just put that on your gasm list
Top
of to-do?
of the list.
Go and get yourself a four-handed massage so that you can really experience that bliss. So we eventually find another guy, and that's a funny part of the story too. Anyways, we get up to the hotel room.
Tell me about that part of the story. Don't skip
Yeah. Oh no, there's me and this other guy, and the other guy, I'm not saying I was Mr. Joe experienced here, but this guy, he looked like he just graduated high school. You know what I mean?
Gosh.
So I'm like, all right, just follow my lead, bro. I've been there, done that. Four-handed massage. He's never done it before. I've done it before, right? I was like, basically, we're going to mirror each other's moves head to toe and flip, and it's real easy. This is before we walked in the door. This is the funny part. Knock, knock, go through the door, and there's this guy, probably like 50, shirt off, nice salt and pepper, gray hair on him with some gold chains, really nice guy. And he's got the football game, American football game, on loud on the TV.
Okay.
He's like, "Come on, guys, come on in." He's already drinking, he's probably obviously whiskey or something like that. It's like 1 p.m. in the day, right? And he's watching football. He's like, "Come on, man, don't mind me. Go ahead and set up the table," right? So the problem is this room is like, it's not designed for a large massage portable table to be set up. So now we set up this table in between like the beds or the bed and the wall. And there's maybe like 8 inches of room circling around this table. So things are going to be very tight. All right. And so we set up and we're waiting, and the guy's not saying much, but he's really chill. And he's like, "Guys, whatever she wants, just give it to her." And I didn't know that he really meant that literal. So out comes this amazing unicorn of a woman out from the bathroom door. She's Vietnamese. She's got amazing breast augmentation enhancements, as I would like to call them. And I haven't seen anything that look as good as that. She's so tiny. She's got like a tattoo going from top to bottom on her. And she's just the tiniest pint-sized thing you've ever seen before. And she's just bubbly and nice. And this is why she's just amazing, because she's so used to walking in high heels that she walks on her tippy toes, like as if she's in high heels. So it just makes things even that much cuter. Like she has a bow on her, right?
When you say unicorn, what do you mean?
I don't mean it in a threesome way, like like how couples are looking for a unicorn.
Okay.
To me, a unicorn, I was using unicorn 20 years ago. To me, it's a mythological creature. It doesn't exist, and it shouldn't exist. So when you run into one, it's just like, OMG, they do exist. This is amazing. All right, so she comes in. She literally like flies onto the table like Superman onto the table, which is amazing in itself. And she's ready. And she's ready to be serviced. So we try to give her a massage. And it didn't go as we thought it would plan, because we're not used to giving like a nude massage. Like we tried to put a sheet on her. Didn't work out.
What did she do? Kick it off?
She took that thing off. And the guy was watching football still. And he's like, yeah, that's unnecessary. You know what I mean? I'm like, wow. And so she's talking the whole time. And she's really like encouraging us to do more. And the guy who just graduated high school and probably just got out of massage school fucking yesterday, he talked about freezing up. I mean, he was literally like squinting, closing his eyes, giving the massage, like just wanting this to be over. Now me, I was like, here's the thing. I was getting excited.
Right?
I was like, wow, okay, this could be amazing, but at the time, my professional values and ethics and ethos and morals did not allow me to go any further than what I was doing. Sensual, but nothing sexual.
No genital touching.
No genital touching, no massaging of the nipples, no licking of her nipples or going down on her, no kissing or anything like that. I was being a really good boy, to her disappointment and to his disappointment. So at the end of the massage, and we barely got through it because she was she was trying every attempt to fondle us, which was very interesting.
Did you have to try and keep your genitals out of her hand?
Oh, I had to try to. Well, the problem is there's no room.
Oh, that's right.
So there's it's a perfect ingredients of just of a cuckold disaster happening here. And so it's so funny because I think back to that moment and I'm like, wow, had I known and be the person I am today, oh, it would have been a party. I probably would have gave the guy, the other massage therapist, half of my proceeds and be like, bro, you know what? You're done.
Step out.
Step out. I've got this. Move over because daddy knows what's about to happen. So let's do this. And it was a disaster because she didn't get what she wanted. She was very disappointed. Now I know what she wants. And he was disappointed too. Because mind you, I mean, they probably spent like $600 on us and we didn't even put out. Oh my gosh, what a disappointment.
They did not hire escorts. They hired massage therapists. They should have hired people who do that.
Could be true, but I will say from then on, as a therapist, I mean, I have like a third book I want to write called Confessions of a Massage Therapist, because the amount of stories I have of clientele wanting more than what they paid for or wanting something else it's wow. The list is long.
You know, I did Thai massage for 14 years, and I don't think anybody was ever inappropriate with me.
Oh, gosh.
Including when I was working at sex parties.
I've had people banned from spas because of their inappropriateness. Celebrities, well-known celebrities who are now blacklisted in Hollywood, not naming any names, were kicked out and banned from our spa by name. And it was a few of them. So
Women?
Men. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. All right. So, look, that experience didn't work out. And that was my first taste of wait, is this common? Is this a thing? And so this is what's interesting. Before I left, I made the smart choice of giving the guy my card. I said, call me if you would like to set up another massage. And I think they live like an hour south of me or something like that. Fast forward, 3 months later, I get this random text. Hey, you still doing massage? We want something for, we'll call her Jezebel. We want something for Jez. And I'm like, okay, this is it. This is it. Here we go. So I was ready. Mentally, I thought I was ready so much that I brought a bottle of vodka in my massage bag. I get down there. They put me in the bathroom and I needed to change into my massage clothes, and I have a bottle of vodka in there and I'm just downing it to get some liquid courage going on so I can break the seal of what I'm about to do.
Because you've never broken your professional code before.
Right. And so there was a lot of codes here that I'm breaking.
Wow, yeah.
And this is different than a threesome. This is another man asking you, by all means, please don't sleep with my wife or hot girlfriend.
For payment in this case, and so it makes you a sex worker. And had you ever done that before?
Wait, who says I took payment? A sex worker, you're funny. No, I didn't take payment. No, because at that time I was like, no, this one's on the house. It's mutual pleasure, and I didn't want to break my ethos, even though I'm still breaking my code. That's what I felt. So no, I didn't never charge them. I got out there doing the massage, and it was probably one of the fastest, quickest massages I've ever done. I mean, probably 10 minutes into it, she's already taking off my pants. This is nothing to do about the massage. This is literally, we have found someone that is cool with our lifestyle, what turns us on finally, and we just want to get this going. That's what that was about. And now I could understand that, because it is very hard to find people that don't come in there judgy and what is this and what the hell and shock factor. So they really just were wanting someone that was down for it. It was kind of like I was with one broken wing, performing because I'm still not used to it. And so I had some performance issues doing this.
Of course, you're in your mind about
Yeah,
all this.
like, yeah, you know, and I had to let go of the liquid crutch of the alcohol. So I'm performing, and there was one thing that didn't work for me because I'm not used to it. It's she was giving head to me with a condom on, and like the sensitivity of that
Yeah,
is so low. So I was not really getting excited in that way.
yeah.
So let's just say this. I have no problem extending my stamina for a longer duration, but this was going to be a short scenario. This was going to be like, okay, if you're hard, bro, go as hard and as fast as you can and let it rain. And that's what happened.
So, are you in their bedroom at this point?
No, we're in the living room.
You're in the living room. Massage
Yeah.
table's set up.
Yeah.
He's sitting on the couch.
Yep. Watching.
He's
drinking.
dressed
Yep.
fully,
Yep.
drinking booze.
Yep. Just a show. It's a show.
Watching the show.
And I think so. The other version of this is for any man out there ever wanting to become a bull, you have to get used to another man in the room watching you. And you're going to have some serious homophobic conflicts internally, mentally, emotionally, freaking childhood, physically, etc. You know, the list is long. You got to get past that. So now, fast forward, I am freaking king of putting blinders on. It's like it doesn't even exist. It's so normal to me that it's not even there.
So can you not fast forward, and can you go back and tell me what are the things that came up? What are the inhibitions that came up? What's in your brain that's keeping you from connecting your body to your arousal?
Yeah, I mean, that in itself is the biggest journey. And I mean, this is something in the book I'm writing that I'm very much focusing on, because so many times people think like cuckolding in its rawest term, which is when another man enjoys to see his wife or girlfriend getting pleased by another man. I mean, that's in its general term, right? But see, immediately you're just thinking the sex, the fucking, the whatever, right? But no, it's so much more than that. And for the bull, there's the emotional hangups because you've had past lovers, and how this apply? What if you're in a relationship too? I've had that issue, and not even be able to get excited to perform with somebody that I'm in love with, and because I'm so used to this type of extracurricular lifestyle. The mental, of course, the blockages there of somebody else being in the room, somebody else being involved. And there's many ways to not be involved and many ways to be involved. I had in the very beginning a lot of issues morally because of my spiritual and religious foundation of Catholicism of adultery. And thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's wife. Thou
Right.
shalt not sleep with another man's wife.
Right.
So I had that issue to even go through, you know what I mean? So that's a huge one to understand. And then all of those, I don't care how king dingling you are, it's going to have an effect on your performance.
Of course. So you had a moral issue, which is you've been taught growing up, thou shalt not covet
Sure.
thy neighbor's wife.
Sure.
So that's something wrong, and you have to deal with the internal church. And then you also have a moral quandary about, as a massage therapist, I don't come to a client and break this boundary of professionalism to cross a line from sensual to
Right.
sexual. And then you have mental issues. And what were those?
Everything you said are the bigger pieces that are tied to mental. You know, I mean, if it's like you're going to sleep with a coworker at work, that's going to affect you mentally, right? Then you have the idea that there's another person in the bedroom
Right.
watching that's a male, and you're not.
Right.
You're not gay, and you don't.
What does
you don't,
it mean?
Right. There's these homophobic issues that you have as a heterosexual. Then there's the issues of you have to perform above and beyond because now you have a woman, and depending on what level of experience, and most of them are pretty experienced, well, they're expecting a bull. I don't like to dilute that word. I mean, you better step up to the plate. You're a lion, so you better perform like one. because that's why you're being invited into the room.
That's why you're there.
The
So
big-
there's
yeah.
this performance stress. Basically, this is like game time. It's go
Sure,
time, and
sure.
you gotta
Sure.
show up, and you better have an erection, etc.
And let me tell you, I've been in many rooms with many other guys that are considered bulls that did not rise to the occasion. And I think a lot of it has to do with the mental blockage and mental preparedness. I've been in a room where they haven't performed and I had to step up to the plate. I had this guy who was really looking for another guy to sleep with his girlfriend. And this girlfriend's super hot. She's super shy, super timid, but he's really trying to basically break the seal of her conventional sex. And so he wants to get her used to threesomes and taking another man. So he worked with me for about 5 months, over 5 to 7 times with her. And the last time was a full-on threesome, DVP, double penetration, and all holes
In the
type
vagina.
of deal. Vagina, yeah, and also anally as well. So it was like the full-on. This is what he had grown her to. And here's the funny part, right? This
Wow.
guy's super cool, right? Like he's way more. I can tell he's way more experienced than me. He's older than me by about 20 years. He knows what he's doing. And the girl he had brought to me is definitely not what I would call like a good candidate for this. But whatever he had been guiding her up to that point to meeting me
Grooming
must
her.
have been really good. All right. So he emotionally very much versed her mentally and emotionally very well. Because when she met me, she was able to get past these norms. And I'm extremely gentle and very understanding. And so here's the interesting thing. The very last time he's like, do you have a bull that could double team her? And I'm just going to watch. And I'm like, yeah, I do. And so I had this guy, he's freaking like practices fucking mixed martial arts, MMA, like UFC guy. You know what I mean? Like I'm fucking athletic and I can put it down. And, you know, he's over here
Yeah.
bragging about his sexual triumphs to me and shit. So I'm like, all right, guy, I need some help.
And
he's like-
test him.
No, I mean, this is another lesson even for me. But I was like, hey, I need some help. And there's this hot girl and this is the situation. Are you cool with that? And he was like, yeah, man. Yeah. I mean, yeah, we're just going to please her. Right. And I'm like, yeah. He's like, but what about this other guy? I was like, don't even worry about, it's like he doesn't even exist. He sits in a chair and just watches with shades on. Like, just block him out, bro. He comes over. And the girl's there and the guy's there and everything is about to happen. It's late at night. It's perfect breeding time to like have a fucking great time. And my guy that I brought in, my friend, he can't perform. He cannot get it up. We're all there butt naked with her on bed and he just cannot perform for his life. And he's over there trying to jack himself off, trying to get into the moment and he just can't. And it's a perfect example of like, he's just got a mental block for somebody that is used to doing what he does, you know?
Yeah.
And so this is the funny part. The guy gets frustrated and he strips. He's like, okay, I have to step in. And so next thing you know, it's a 3-way between me, the guy, and her. And it's amazing. He even taught me a couple things, but we're doing DP stuff here and it's working, it's flowing and it's very difficult to do. And she's with it and it's happening. It goes an hour.
Wow.
We all finish in some glorious bukkake style stuff. And afterwards, now mind you, I've known this guy for about 5 months. This is at least 5, 6, or 7 encounters. But this is the end.
This is the culmination.
Yeah, this is a culmination. I never hear from him, never see them ever again. And then he reveals, he's like, hey, and I don't know how to take this, but I'm just going to say it. He's like, hey, I used to be a porn star. He's like, you did really good. You did really good. Wait, he's just, you know what? He's like, I know you don't do porn, but you did really good.
Way to step it up.
But he really, translation, just being able to stay hard and being excited in the moment of so much conflict happening is everything in this lifestyle. It is so challenging, I must say, to be excited from a male's point of view because we're so external. And if our thing isn't hard, then we're just useless as a bull. As a bull in the wild, you are looked at to perform, to breed the herd, to continue the race. And that's your role. That is your sole role. You are here to breed the strongest of our race to continue until you're no longer can perform, and then you're out, and the next bigger, baddest bull is going to take over. I watched this shit on National Geographic, and I'm like, damn, am I the young bull or the old bull coming in? You know what I mean? And I'm over here butting heads with bulls, like, I don't know.
It sounds like he got really caught up in the emotional hang up of there's a man watching me and I'm uncomfortable with that. That makes me feel
That's a mental. Yeah, totally mental.
nervous. And
Totally a mental block.
so what would you say are the emotional blocks? How would you distinguish them from the mental ones?
Well, I think in general, and I think if you're, let's say, intimate positive, you understand that mental connection, your mental is definitely connected to your emotional, right? So we'll just say that, right? But if we were going to just like separate the two a little clearly, right? Emotional, I think mostly everyone is coming from conventional relationships where it's just monogamy. You know what I mean?
And
so-
cheating.
and
Monogamy and cheating.
Right. So then if you're going into, let's say, a threesome situation, as I tell guys, is this your first rodeo? Don't expect to be freaking King Kong on this, bro. You are going to have some issues with another man being in the room and being even closer than another man. And Lord forbid you touch each other's ankles or something like that. Because you're going to be, oh my God, am I gay? You know what I mean? And then you're going to have some serious hangups that are going to just affect you. And then the next emotional relationship you're in, it might actually affect you. You might question your emotional capabilities with somebody else that you love. And then when you face that, because here's the thing, when things do not go right in the bedroom, in the, let's say, cuckold bull, threesome, 3 people type of lifestyle, +1 lifestyle, it's going to linger in your brain as a guy to the next sexual encounters that you have, whether they be conventional or not conventional. I've talked about this with many guys. They're like, dude, that really fucked me up. Meaning I couldn't perform as I usually do for quite some time until I could fucking basically fuck it out of my mind and erase it.
The heteronormativity really hurts us, hurts all of us, Like,
Sure.
to have this be such a terrifying thing that you could enjoy concurrently a sexual activity with somebody of your same gender, that should be so, is really a harmful hang up.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's another thing that you mentioned that I really want to draw
Sure.
back, and that was that you said you had a hard time fucking your girlfriends or people that you loved because you were so used to
Sure.
maybe this extremity of, I don't know if it's the excitement of the taboo or the outside the norm or the additional stimulus of being watched, although you said you blocked that out. So what do you think that was about?
I think when it's like a one-off or a couple times, you know what I mean? It's one thing. But when you start getting into some consistency with this cuckold lifestyle where you're the bull and then you're constantly being asked to please another man's girl, when you walk into a conventional relationship with someone of a lover on a level like that, it becomes not the norm. The norm is like, this is not the dynamic. So what I found is
What becomes not the norm?
what I found is that I actually get turned on knowing that I am being sought after to please another man's woman. Talk about no strings attached. You know your role. Your role. Your role is to not love her, fall in love with her, steal her away, or any of that bullshit. Your role is to please. That's it. You're there for one thing. Now, that's singular. There's a spectrum, of course. Some people want other things. I've been asked, take her out on dates. You know what I mean? Go on vacation with her. Come to Vegas. Take her to Vegas. Fly over here with her. Actually be basically the side boyfriend that they don't have time to be. You know what I mean? I've been in those situations. So, but in its singular form, you're there to provide a good time in the bedroom, behind closed doors, in an intimate, sexual, and sensual fashion.
So what turns you on about that?
It's so raw. It's just so raw that in more cases than not all, let's say 75%, more 60-40, 60% of the time, The guys that are asking me to sleep with their wife or girlfriend are not pushovers. These guys are CEOs. They own businesses of 100 people, employees. They don't have any money problems. They go on vacation more than they fucking live their life. They're top of their pyramid. These guys have no problem with getting a woman or anything like that. To be asked by another alpha male
Yeah.
to do something that he can no longer do, it's pretty amazing.
Is that the case? He can no longer do it? Most of these scenarios?
No, it's everything. Oh man, I mean there's such a spectrum. It could be I'm tired of fucking my wife. It could be my wife is tired of fucking me. Mm-hmm. It could be that, you know what, I only get off on watching porn, not my wife anymore. But I've met couples where they're in their first year of marriage, so no one's tired of fucking anyone at that point. Then it's just something different. No, I get turned on by watching, by voyeurism. Not only that, I get turned on by watching somebody please somebody that I love. Mm-hmm. I get turned on by watching somebody turn on somebody that I love, coming all over their face so that when you leave, I can kiss her all night. These are the different spectrums. I mean, there's so many different variations, but it comes down to one variation where it is in its simplest form. Another man is in one way or the other getting turned on by letting another man sleep with the wife. Now, here's an interesting, not a funny one. I've known guys that want this from me just for the outcome of causing conflict.
Yeah.
And issues and drama and conflict and anger with their wife or girlfriend just for that.
Yeah, because jealousy
Sure.
is an age-old aphrodisiac. It is a source of great eroticism, as I've experienced personally, and as I've talked to the evolutionary biologist Jeffrey Miller about, who's the author of the book Mate. It's something that we've used without knowing necessarily or acknowledging that we're using it, even when we go to a party and we're like, oh, go go over there, talk to her.
Yeah.
You know, so we can see them across the room and be like,
Yeah.
you.
Yeah. So I have couples that have done that many times. I have couples that are in long distance relationships. And I'm being asked to please the girl and to videotape it or to audio record it to then feed to him later. And then I come to find out that it causes some serious fucking anger, jealousy, argument. But that's exactly the whole reason why I was being asked to come in, because they needed that fire.
Yeah.
And they needed that breakup, makeup, or whatever.
Yeah.
They needed that instability going in.
Makes you almost the sex surrogate, and then also the stir of emotions.
Yeah. So it could get very confusing as a bull to then know your role and to how far to push some boundaries, because we really haven't even talked about the more common stage, not common, but the next common stage, which is the humiliation factor of cuckolding.
Right. Let's talk about that. So what does that do for the cuckold?
It's such an interesting paradigm that a man, let's just say husband, all right? I'm tired of doing the husband, boyfriend. It's just too many words. It's amazing that a relationship between a husband and wife can exist where the man has literally been, what's that great word that you call it? Emasculated?
Emasculated?
Yeah. He's literally, in a metaphorically, had his balls cut off in front of the wife. And what amazes me, and this is why this dynamic is so fucking interesting to me, is that they can go on after this experience to continue their happily marriage, and it even gets stronger. Blows my mind.
Do you think that emasculation can only happen because there is still a notion of women as property and wives as property? Because otherwise, somebody having sex with your partner means nothing about you unless you have a sense of ownership over her.
Well, you bring up a great point, because now we're talking about humiliation. So in some cases, I am asked to verbally humiliate the cuck. In some cases, I'm asked to verbally and physically humiliate the cuck.
Like
in
coming
some
on
and
him?
in some cases, I'm asked to verbally and physically humiliate both parties. You know what I mean?
Oh.
So there's many different dynamics here. But so when I go into any cuckold situation, communication and information is key. So I've gotten used to asking some of the most standard of questions like, what are you expecting? In an ideal world, what are you wanting? Okay. What are your boundaries? What is going to turn you on the most? Verbally, physically. And I'm very specific of asking, are you expecting to be humiliated? Half the time it's, yeah, can you do that? You know, they're like, oh my God, somebody's not freaked out by doing that. And then the other cases are like, no humiliation, bro. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
None of that shit. And I'm like, oh, don't even worry about it. It's all good. I just get turned on by watching this shit. I'm like, all right. And there's even variations. There's guys that are called stags. And that's not necessarily a cuckold relationship when you're a stag, but sometimes it is. So there's a lot of gray
What's that?
areas. A stag is a guy he's an alpha. A stag is an alpha, but he's just okay with allowing another man to sleep with his wife. But he also will get involved sexually into the threesome.
Okay.
But it's less of a threesome and still more of I want you to fuck her brains out and I will join in maybe. And if I do, there's no humiliation. It's both of us tag teaming and it's all good.
Less of a voyeur and not really a cuck, because a cuck implies this humiliation piece.
Right. I rarely have ever seen a stag sit on a chair drinking his whiskey, jacking off while I fuck his wife. As a stag. A stag is more like, you know what, guys, I'm going to go in the other room and I'll come in a bit. It's as cool and dry as that. You know what I mean?
What is that distinction? I'm going to go in the other room.
Could be a lot of reasons. Okay. One, you would think some guys actually get turned on knowing they're in the other room and this is happening while their wife is fucking.
Yeah, and they can't see it.
Right, but they could hear it. But then I've had some where they've literally dropped the girl off and they waited in the car. And that is a form of humiliation as well.
Yeah.
So there's many different variations here. But I've had some guys that are like, you know what? I'm going to go in the other room because I know my girl needs to have one-on-one time with you in order for her to perform well. And I know that you, the bull, can perform better if you're one-on-one with her as well. I mean,
So I'll come in when things are going.
yeah.
Because I know that's the way it's going to work best.
Yeah. So there's many different variations, and the best thing I can do as a bull is to find out ahead of time what is the dynamic. And the toughest part is a lot of people don't have a lot of experience.
I was about to say, do they know their boundaries?
Sometimes they don't, and they're meeting me, and I'm the one that brings it out of them to figure it out.
Yeah.
Because trust me, I've stepped on landmines as well. I mean, it's going to happen.
Yeah, of course.
You know what I mean? Even so, how about this? The very first time, going back to that original story, I didn't finish it.
Oh, please.
So I had to basically, I'm on a ticking time bomb because I'm only going to stay hard for so long. I know I'm going to lose what I have here. So I got to hurry up, right? So I try to fuck hard and fast and get it over with. But when I come, I did something that wasn't conveyed ahead of time, and I didn't ask, and they didn't tell me. I pulled off the condom and I came all over her. Oh. That was a no-no. This is why I was never called back ever again, because I violated that of what the girl didn't want and the guy didn't want. So they were in a very you spilled red wine on my couch type of way.
Ooh.
It's cool, but it's not
you're
fucking
never
cool.
coming back
Yeah,
again.
it's not actually cool that you spilled red wine on the couch.
White couch.
You spilled all your hot calm on my hot girlfriend, and that I can never take back. Yeah. So, I have these lists of questions, and at the last question, I always ask, and where would you like me to come? Because that tells me a lot about their relationship, about what their experiences are, what they're used to, etc. Because that is the metaphor of an alpha bull owning territory, marking his territory, etc., etc.
Right.
In that dynamic.
So you essentially interview them before you have this.
Now I do, in a very light, casual way, not to, in some rare senses, that even was too much, where they're like, oh, this is too much talking for us, and we just want to, you know what I mean? I'm like, you know what? No problem. It's not always going to work out. I would say, in my experience, out of 10, let's just say couples that I'm presented with, 1 to 2 even work out. That's not a high ratio. It's not. I have wannabe cuckolds. Not wannabe. They want to be cuckolds. And some are wannabes. But want to be cucks that do not know how to break the ice to their wife because they know she will never understand what really turns them on. And my heart goes out to these guys as a human being, that they will always be caged and never truly to be themselves. Imagine that. I don't care what you're into, but imagine if you're not able to live your fucking life
ever.
That's got to feel like jail. And I come across these guys, and some of them are cool, and I try to break down like what's going to happen, what can happen. And some of them, man, are just like, they're just so desperate that they'll never ever get what they want. You know, I want it to work. Hey, I mean, your wife is hot. I'm sexually attracted to her. I would love to please her. Is it always going to work? No. You know, I've stepped into rooms and it's all been talked about, and there she is, and there I am, and there he is. And it could be the guy pulling the parachute, or it could be the girl pulling the parachute, and it didn't work out. There's been times where I've been in the room and things are happening and I pull the parachute because I'm like, I'm not desperate. I'm not turned on. This is not for me. There was a red flag here. Whatever the reason, I pulled out.
Well, I mean, it doesn't always work one-on-one either. It's like people who fixate on, they're like, polyamorous relationships don't work. All the ones I've heard of don't work. I was like, how many monogamous relationships have you heard of that don't work? You know what I mean? Like, how can you extrapolate from that data?
So,
That doesn't make sense.
You, just like any situation in life, and especially sexually behind closed doors, just do not come in with expectations. I come in with negative expectations and come out with amazing surprises in so many ways.
How do you keep yourself from having expectations? I think that's something very difficult for people, particularly sexually.
I mean, gosh, I've just practiced that so much fucking times that I go into any situation with, this is going to be the fucking best night of my life. And I'm like, even if something doesn't happen, it's still going to be great. I mean, maybe I'm just too philosophical where I believe everything happens for a reason and shit like that, right? And I get it. I'm too fucking cliche. I'm a fucking walking like haiku and all that shit, but whatever. But I really don't come in with expectations. I can't even tell you that enough. And I can't tell you how many times when situations that didn't work, it was applauded that I didn't have expectations. I wasn't mad. I wasn't angry. I wasn't frustrated. I was cool, calm, collected, no worries. I've fucking driven 2 hours away. Driven 2 hours. That's a 4-hour return trip there and back. Things did not work out within 5 minutes, and I had to get back in my car and drive back. Was I mad? Was I upset? No. This is the price of the game. It is the game. And if you want to get into this is what's going to happen. I knew what I was setting myself up for. There's no reason to be frustrated or mad. And I think back to all the times that it did fucking work. Glorious. I'm not here collecting fucking trophies. It's not about that. But I think back to some of the most amazing, mythical, mystical, magical fucking nights that I've had with amazing fucking people in amazing scenarios that have ended in hot, glorious bukkake cum fashions that will forever be implanted in my mind, that if I ever get locked up in some prison in the Maldives, which I hope there's where I go, I could live out all these fantasies that I've lived out truthfully in my mind, you know, and I'm okay with that.
To me, this is going to be the best night of my life. Sounds like a big fat expectation. But But I think what you're saying is that's more like your ethos. And it's sort of like, no matter what, whether I come, whether I don't, whether she's into it, whether I leave, whether he's into it, whether he pulls the parachute, I am going to make greatness for myself and enjoyment for myself wherever I go.
I'm for the experience. Life is fucking that small, so enjoy it. I mean, don't let it go to waste. So I love these encounters, and when they come, because I love adventure. So I want something new. I want something fresh. And I tell you, I've never been in one situation where it was similar to the other. The dynamic is always going to be different with human beings.
Yeah.
No two people are cut from the same cloth. I mean, they could be, but they're always going to be a little bit different.
Even on different days with the same person.
I'm telling you, a Monday is different than a Saturday. You know what I mean? Like this hotel's different from that room, you know? And right now I'm just replaying some of these experiences that I've had, and they've been just so unique.
And no matter what, you always have a story.
Oh, yeah.
No matter how the story went.
This is now why I'm writing a book called Gasm.
I love that title.
That is going to it's going to expose a lot to mostly all of my stories, but it's at the same way. In each story is going to be a bit of education and knowledge for anybody on either side of the fence going into this. I mean, there's 3 fences to take in consideration here, from a woman, the other man, and the bull's point of view here. And I've had a lot of time and experience to take my time, even with cuckold couples, and ask them some of these deeper, darker, more interesting, intimate questions about what moves them and what doesn't.
So now, have you ever played either of the other 2 roles in this triangle?
Negative. I answer that so quickly, right?
Yeah.
But now I want to think about it. Hold on. Nope. I do not get turned on by seeing another man please my girlfriend, and I'm not married, so it can't be wife.
Yeah.
I don't get turned on in that way. I've never been I can't put myself in the woman's shoes, but I've never been the guy. I've never been the cuck.
But have you ever been in a position where your girlfriend got off on another woman fucking you and watching that?
Oh, yeah.
So you have actually played 2 of the roles in this triangle.
The difference is she never played the true role of a cuck. So my book is going to try to highlight something that is very, very less known, which is something called, I would say, a cuck queen.
Tell me about cuck queens.
Yeah, but cuck queens are so not normally known. It's not like, oh, wow, well, they're all over the place. They're definitely not. But it would definitely be a woman that has orchestrated, organized their fantasy of a cuckold situation for the benefit of their pleasure. So they're just taking the place of the husband. So they basically want to find another woman, a bull, to please the man.
So I want to be a female bull. A lot of my fantasies, I would say 98.9% of my fantasy life centers around threesomes. Mm-hmm. And 75% of those fantasies are myself and a man and a woman.
Yeah, but the woman doing what?
So the woman is usually watching. Mm-hmm. I've ordered her to not touch herself, or I've ordered her to whatever. Like she has to be across the room, or she can't do this, she can't do that. So I'm dominating her.
Right.
And I'm enjoying him.
Whether you're submissive or not, right?
Whether or not.
Right. Yeah. Well, there you go.
But I'm in a position of control and power over her.
Right.
That is what turns me on.
That's great. I've seen it in action.
You have?
Yeah. And the most, I think, important thing for, let's just say, a female bull is to understand you need to check in with that woman, because women operate differently when it comes to the emotional cord and the mental cord. You can cross the line when you are emotionally intimate with a man.
Yeah.
Versus just strictly pleasure.
Yeah.
And from what I understand, if you don't convey that with the women, they're going to get offended that you're actually trying to get emotional in a relationship with their man, even though it's just fucking 1 hour of fucking. It doesn't matter.
Yep.
I've seen things end in disaster where the cuck woman was all for wanting their man to be pleased by another woman, but as soon as they realize there was a level of intimacy, not sexual fucking, a level of intimacy that goes against their own levels, then no. So,
and that's how I like to fuck, by the way, is I'm a bit demisexual.
Of course
so I
we
have
do. Exactly.
to have
that's the problem.
That emotional
connection. That's the problem.
She'd have to be an emotional masochist, right?
She'd have to be very
Or very secure.
She's very secure. Not only that, if I was a female bull, I would have lunch with the cuck queen and I would say, hey,
Yeah.
this is how I fuck. And this is what you can expect if it happens.
Yes.
And I don't want you to be offended because
I touch his face or something.
Because the things I verbally say and my kisses are very fucking passionate because they come from a fire deep within. You know, all these shit. I would convey that 100%.
Yeah.
I mean,
there's going to be love in my fucking. And you're going to see that.
Exactly.
This episode was mixed and mastered by Irving Gadori of igrecording.com. My cover art was illustrated by Shauna Shea from 99 Designs. This intro music is a remix by a cappella beatbox musician Kid Mental, whose motto is theme songs for everyone. You can support a Black creator by hiring him on Fiverr or on Patreon and get a catchy jingle of your very own. Upcoming in Season 4, I have a recording from my guest spot on Dominic Q and Brian Stacy's podcast, The Great Man Within. A couple of episodes with the journalist Sue J. Johnson, who interviewed me for her project, The Pleasure Report. And a 5-part miniseries with Jet Setting Jasmine, who you must know, a badass Black therapist and porn star, and her incredible dom husband, and a daughter that gives me hope for the future of humanity. As well as some shows with segments, a la NPR, and other explorations. Until next time, may you have someone to love, something to do, and something to look forward to. Oh, I'm so looking forward to scripting and rehearsing my TED-style talk, my very first one, and the event that I am curating around it to celebrate the 4th podcast anniversary of Horizontal with Lila on May 21st, 2021. It is going to be called Hot Love Talks. Don't you want to come? Oh my God, I'm so excited. Thank you for listening. Thank you for getting horizontal. Oh, you want the mic in it?
What makes it look like it's business?
It is.